Have you ever felt like someone's attention toward you is a little too intense? Maybe he texts you nonstop, gets jealous over the smallest things, or even keeps tabs on your every move. At first, it might seem like love, but what if it's something much deeper, something more obsessive? In this video, you'll discover 4 clear signs that a man is not just interested in you, but completely obsessed. These signs may seem harmless at first, but as time goes on, they can turn into something controlling, suffocating, or even dangerous. You might be surprised by some of the signs we reveal today. Many women don't recognize them until it's too late. Obsession often disguises itself as deep affection, but the truth is, it's not about love, it's about control. A man who is obsessed with you doesn't just admire you, he fixates on you. Obsessed, his world starts to revolve around you in ways that can feel overwhelming, even suffocating. He's not just interested in your life, he wants to consume it. Why does this happen? What makes a man cross the line from admiration to obsession? And how can you spot the warning signs before things get out of control? Stay with me until the end, because recognizing these signs early could save you from an unhealthy or even dangerous relationship. If you've ever had a gut feeling that something wasn't right, trust that feeling. In this video, you'll learn exactly what to look out for so you can protect your peace, your freedom, and your happiness. But before we dive in, welcome to our channel. If you enjoy eye-opening content like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an important update. Now, let's get started. At first, it feels flattering. He texts you the moment you wake up, checks in throughout the day, and wants to know every little detail about what you're doing. A good morning text turns into a flood of messages before you've even had your coffee. If you take too long to reply, he asks if something is wrong. If you don't answer a call, he calls again and again. It might seem like he's just really into you, but there's a fine line between affection and obsession. A man who is obsessed with you doesn't just want to communicate, he needs to. His mind races with thoughts about you, and he can't stand not knowing what you're doing at any given moment. It starts with cute messages, but soon it turns into a demand for constant contact. You might feel guilty for thinking it's too much. After all, shouldn't it be a good thing when someone wants to talk to you all the time? But deep down, something feels off. You can't go a few hours without checking your phone because you know he'll be waiting for a reply, and if you don't answer fast enough, he might get upset. At first, his concern seems sweet. "I just miss you," he says. "I love talking to you." But soon, it doesn't feel like a choice anymore. You notice that when you're with friends or family, he still expects you to respond immediately. If you take a break from your phone, you come back to dozens of messages, missed calls, and maybe even questions like, "Are you ignoring me?" or "Why don't you care about me like I care about you?" This isn't just about staying in touch. It's about control. The constant communication is his way of making sure he's always in your mind, always involved in your life. At first, you might reassure him. "I was just busy," you say. "I didn't see your message." But the truth is, you start feeling anxious every time your phone buzzes. A healthy relationship has space for both people to breathe, to be individuals. But when a man is obsessed, he doesn't give you that space. He might even use sweet words to justify it. "I can't stop thinking about you. You're my whole world." But real love isn't about being someone's entire world. It's about balance. As time goes on, the communication starts to feel like a trap. You go out with friends and he's messaging you the whole time. You try to focus on work and your phone keeps lighting up. You tell him you need time to yourself and he says, "Why? Don't you love me?" It's exhausting. What started as excitement turns into pressure. You start changing your behavior just to avoid his reaction. Maybe you keep your phone on silent. Maybe you lie and say you're going to bed early just so you can have a moment of peace. You feel bad for wanting space, but deep down you know something isn't right. And then the frustration begins. If you don't respond quickly enough, he starts making assumptions. "You must be talking to someone else. I guess I'm not important to you." He might even start checking your social media to see when you were last online. If he sees that you were active but didn't respond to him, he demands to know why. It's not about love, it's about control. The constant calls, the endless texts, they're not just signs of affection, they're signs of obsession. And once you recognize them, you start to see just how overwhelming and intrusive they really are. At first, it seems like he just cares. He asks who you're with, where you're going, and when you'll be back. He says things like, I just worry about you, or I don't want anyone to take you from me. It feels like love, like protection, but soon the questions become accusations. The concern turns into control. It starts small. Maybe he gets annoyed when you mention a male coworker or when you laugh at a joke someone else made. He asks why you're following certain people on social media or why someone liked your picture. Who is he? Why is he texting you? Why didn't you tell me about him before? At first, you try to reassure him. He's just a friend. I wasn't even thinking about that. But no matter how many times you explain, it's never enough. His mind creates stories, stories where you're lying, where you're hiding something, where he's the victim. He watches how you interact with others, analyzing every word, every glance, every movement. Did you smile too much at that guy? Did you take too long to reply to a text? Did you seem too happy when talking about your day? Suddenly, innocent actions turn into evidence of betrayal in his mind. And then the rules begin. He doesn't like you going out alone. He wants to know exactly where you are at all times. He starts questioning your choices, why you wore that dress, why you put on makeup, why you laughed at someone's joke. Are you trying to impress someone? You don't dress like that for me. His insecurity turns into control, and before you know it, you're walking on eggshells, changing your behavior just to avoid another argument. The worst part, he doesn't see himself as controlling. In his mind, he's just protecting what's his. I love you too much. I just can't stand the thought of losing you. I've been hurt before. He makes his jealousy sound like devotion, like something you should be grateful for. But real love doesn't make you feel trapped. It doesn't make you feel guilty for existing. Extreme jealousy is not a sign of love, it's a sign of possession. A man who is obsessed with you doesn't want to share you, not with friends, not with family, not with anyone. He sees every interaction as a threat, every person as competition. And over time, his jealousy only grows stronger. At first, it's just words, accusations, suspicion, but then it becomes action. He checks your phone when you're not looking. He demands to see your messages. If you refuse, he calls you secretive. If you argue, he flips it on you. If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't be acting this way. Suddenly, you're the one proving your innocence when you never did anything wrong in the first place. He might even start controlling who you spend time with. He doesn't like a certain friend, so he pressures you to stop seeing them. He makes comments about your best friend, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. I don't trust her. She's a bad influence. One by one, your connections start to fade, not because you want them to, but because it's easier than dealing with his anger. And when jealousy takes over, logic disappears. It doesn't matter how many times you explain yourself, how much you reassure him, he will always find a reason to doubt you. A simple conversation with another man turns into an argument. A missed call turns into suspicion. A new follower on social media turns into accusations. What he doesn't realize is that the more he tries to hold on, the more he pushes you away. His jealousy doesn't make you feel loved, it makes you feel suffocated. And the more he tightens his grip, the more you start to feel like a prisoner in your own relationship. It starts with little things. He casually drops by your place without asking, saying he was just in the area. He insists on picking you up from work, even when you tell him you already have a ride. He waits outside your gym just to surprise you. At first, it might seem sweet, like he just can't stay away from you. But soon it becomes clear that he's not just being thoughtful. He's watching, following, and showing up when you don't expect it. You don't remember giving him a key, but one day he lets himself in. Maybe he left the door unlocked, or maybe he made a copy without telling you. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. He's your boyfriend, right? But something about it feels off. He doesn't ask permission. He doesn't respect the fact that your space is yours. Then he starts going through your things. He picks up your phone and scrolls through your messages when you leave the room. He looks at your emails, your social media, even your journal if he finds it. If you catch him, he brushes it off. I was just curious. Why are you acting so secretive? But you know better. He isn't just curious. He wants to control. One day you're out with friends and suddenly he's there. You didn't invite him. You didn't even tell him where you were going, but he found out. Maybe he tracked your location, or maybe he asked around. Either way, it's unsettling. When you ask him about it, he smiles and says, I just missed you, but deep down, you know this isn't normal. He doesn't see boundaries. He believes he has a right to know everything, to be everywhere, to always be involved in your life. If you try to set limits, he gets defensive. Why are you pushing me away? I just love being with you. You should be happy I care so much. He turns it around, making you feel guilty for wanting space. At first, you try to ignore it. Maybe he just needs reassurance. Maybe if you explain things the right way, he'll understand. But he doesn't. No matter how many times you tell him you need time alone, he finds a way to be there. He shows up at your job with lunch, even when you told him you had other plans. He waits outside your house when you don't answer his texts. He follows you into rooms when you just want a moment to yourself. And it doesn't stop at physical space. He invades your mental and emotional space too. If you don't answer a text fast enough, he floods your phone with messages. If you don't pick up his call, he keeps calling until you do. If you tell him you need a quiet night to yourself, he accuses you of shutting him out. Soon, you start to feel like you have no escape. Your home doesn't feel like yours anymore. Your phone, your private thoughts, your time, they all belong to him now. You start changing your habits, avoiding certain places, hesitating before making plans, just to prevent another confrontation. He acts like he owns you. He doesn't see you as an individual with your own needs, your own space, your own life. To him, being in love means being inseparable, having no boundaries, no privacy. But love isn't about control. It isn't about invading every part of someone's life until they feel trapped. It's about respect, about understanding that personal space isn't a rejection, it's a necessity. At first, it seems harmless. He casually asks, who are you texting? Or what are you laughing at? He glances at your phone when a notification pops up. He playfully grabs it from your hands, scrolling through your messages as if it's no big deal. Maybe you laugh it off, thinking he's just being curious. But soon, curiosity turns into something more. One day, you leave your phone on the table, and when you return, the screen is on. He's going through your messages, your call history, your social media. You ask what he's doing, and he shrugs, just making sure there's nothing I should be worried about. He says it with a smile, but the meaning is clear. He doesn't trust you. Then the questions start getting more specific. Why'd you like his picture? Who's that guy in your comments? Why were you online late at night? No matter how innocent the situation, he turns it into a reason for suspicion. At first, you try to explain, it's just a coworker. I've known him for years. I was just scrolling before bed, but no matter what you say, he always finds a way to twist it. You wouldn't be so defensive if you had nothing to hide. I just don't want to get hurt. Other girls wouldn't do this to their boyfriend. He makes you feel guilty for normal things, for simply existing in a world outside of him. Then it escalates. He demands to know your passwords. Maybe he asks directly, saying, if you love me, you'd have nothing to hide. Maybe he finds a way to figure them out on his own. Either way, he starts logging into your accounts, reading your messages before you even see them. He checks who you're following, who's following you, what you're posting, and when. One day, you notice your settings have changed. Your location is always on. You never turned it on, but somehow he knows where you are at all times. He asks why you took a different route home, why you were at a cafe instead of at work. Suddenly, every move you make feels like it's being watched. And it doesn't stop at your phone. He wants to know your daily routine, who you're meeting, what time you'll be home, what you're doing when you're not with him. If you forget to mention something, he gets upset. Why didn't you tell me? What else are you hiding? I had to find out from someone else. At first, you try to reassure him. You let him see your messages, let him check your notifications, just to prove you have nothing to hide. But it never ends. The more you give, the more he takes. You start changing your behavior, second guessing yourself. Should I like this post? Should I answer this text? Should I even go out? You feel trapped. Like there's no part of your life that's truly yours anymore. Your phone, once a place of connection and freedom, now feels like a tool of control. You hesitate before texting a friend. You delete innocent messages just to avoid another argument. You feel like you're constantly being watched even when he's not around. He tells you it's because he loves you, that he's just making sure no one takes you away from him, that he's been hurt before and doesn't want it to happen again. But love isn't about control. It isn't about monitoring someone's every move. Love is built on trust, not surveillance. And yet he doesn't see it that way. In his mind, his actions are justified. He believes he has the right to know everything, to see everything, to be a part of every interaction you have. And if you resist, you must be hiding something. The cycle continues, and before you know it, you're constantly explaining yourself, constantly feeling like you have to prove your loyalty. Over time, it starts to wear you down. You feel like you have no privacy, no space to breathe. Even when you're alone, you're not really alone. You feel his presence in every decision you make, and that's exactly what he wants. Control. If you've noticed any of these four signs, constant communication, extreme jealousy, invasion of personal space, or monitoring your activities, it's important to take them seriously. These behaviors aren't signs of love. They're signs of control. Obsession can feel flattering at first, but over time it becomes suffocating. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. No one has the right to invade your privacy, track your every move, or make you feel guilty for wanting personal space. A healthy relationship is built on trust, respect, and boundaries, not fear and control. If you recognize these signs in your relationship, don't ignore them. Talk to someone you trust, set clear boundaries, and seek support if needed. You deserve a relationship that makes you feel safe, valued, and free. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more content like this to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.